It's totally like it's it was lagging. Okay. Technical difficulties. All right. Welcome to the National Poetry Month Summit. I am here with Jay Ward. Jay Ward, say hello to the beautiful people.
Hey, hey, hey.
What is up? So we are here, as promised, we're going to do a video every Wednesday for you to stay on track, stay encouraged, and we're going to share our work with you. So, Jay, I know that you are editing a poem per day for April, right?
Correct. Yeah, hopefully more than a day, but I mean more than one a day, but or I think it's really working out to like one stretched over the course of 3 days, like until I get it done and then do the next one. But I'm trying one per day, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've taken that same strategy. I think we did that last year as well. I'm just sitting on so much work. I really need to go through these poems. So
But
the edits.
you're writing new ones too occasionally.
Yeah, last year I did. I wrote a new poem per day and an edit. And this year I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick to one strategy. I mean, I did it, but it was still a lot. And right now, with everything going on, just taking the pressure off and taking the expectation off is really helpful. So we're gonna share. Have you ran into anything this month so far with edits? Like, have you found like solitude of being inside the house like a helpful thing, or has it been like a hindrance?
Um, well, as I said before we started recording, I'm not in solitude because my girlfriend's here. But I don't think it's I think it's been helpful more than a hindrance to kind of be. I guess what you meant is isolated in the work, right? I think it's been more helpful than hindrance because this year has been extremely busy. So having the chance to actually sit down and focus on the things that I know I need to get done has been helpful. Plus, like I'm naturally an introvert anyway, so um, I work from home and I stay home a lot, other than going to poetry events. So um, this is a long way to answer your question. I think it's been more of a help than a hindrance for me.
Yeah, definitely. I noticed that I'm getting a whole lot more done. Um, but I do like, and I'm an extrovert, so I'm getting a whole lot more done. But doing Zoom calls like this has really helped me like stay sane and things like that. Um, but yeah, like I guess like the space, it's so funny because it's like so many of us are confined to our homes, but yeah, I'm finding more freedom and more space within that. And before this, I thought that like if I needed freedom and space, I had to flee. And now that like this has happened, I realize like I don't have to go anywhere to get what I need to do things and get things done. You know, that it's all in like boundaries and how you set up your time, which is really interesting. I think like in the midst of all this, we've also been given a great opportunity to figure those things out about ourselves and our work. And I know before we started recording, I had said about like the opportunity to get intimate again with our work.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a blessing. I know that I'm still worried about so many people out there, and we're all worried about like how this is going to affect us in the future, since we're seeing it already affect us now. But I'm trying to focus on the positives of the whole situation. So
Sure.
yeah, definitely. And doing this, I think, is really needed right now, and just connecting people through the art of poetry everywhere. That's been a huge blessing as well. So, who wants to go first with sharing one of their edits?
I'll go first. I don't like going after the person that destroys the stage.
Oh, whatever.
So because I'm
or
doing
or
edits,
would that be destroy the living room? Because
right. Um, so I guess I'll say to start with that what I'm editing specifically is a manuscript of poems that I am going and taking and introducing form into a poem that was written as free verse, and in some cases introducing two forms. And in fact, that's my challenge to myself, is I'm trying to merge two forms, like take the rules of two forms and merge them in each poem. So that's been the challenge, not only to make sure that the poem is saying what it needs to say, but also experimenting with form in this way. So the first poem I'm going to read is, it's a poem I wrote, I probably wrote it, I probably wrote it 3 or 4 years ago. And then I did some revisions last year, and then I did what I hope will be my final revisions this year. It is a combination of a blues poem and a palindrome. Well, really, it's a palindrome with some blues elements to it, but it's for Romare Bearden, who was a famous collage artist during the Harlem Renaissance. So it's called Reverse Collage for Romare Bearden. So heads up, it's a palindrome, so that means I'm going to read it forwards and then I'm going to read it backwards. Speaking all on its own, Southern recall, this movement, this train, born from bond and paper and sharp things like Romare, making whole people from a melting pot. What did you do? Sit at the feet of your conjure woman making glue, gather brush to start this fire? You, the ancient midwife, should we hang on your stories, wide-eyed in the mastery of your scissors, your brush, art springing from art, a birth we can see. We all do. We all sit and question if creation is an amalgam of experience, who creates the creator? What shade is the smoke? What train yard get us here? What rail we ride, universal in the mother tongue of sight? The journey of Odysseus made Mecklenburg in every wooden shingle and every recurring theme. I believe you never left Charlotte except physically, saw something over something else through an open window, but Pittsburgh and Harlem called to you, beckoned tired feet, or a simple life with big hands, a suppressed collective voice. Each destination was a whistling reminder of moving dark bodies back and forth through time. Fair as it seemed, all eyes were on your color, walked around and intimidated frames right off the wall. This country, like stitches on a mortal wound, photobombed its tracks across the mural of your train. Your train photobombed its tracks across the mural of this country like stitches on a mortal wound. Your color walked around and intimidated frames right off the wall. Fair as it seemed, all eyes were on moving dark bodies back and forth through time. Each destination was a whistling reminder of a suppressed collective voice, tired feet, or a simple life with big hands. Pittsburgh and Harlem called to you, beckoned something over something else through an open window, but I believe you never left Charlotte except physically, saw Mecklenburg in every wooden shingle and every recurring theme. The journey of Odysseus made universal in the mother tongue of sight. What train yard get us here? What rail we ride? What shade is the smoke? If creation is an amalgam of experience, who creates the creator? We all do. We all sit and question your brush. Art springing from art, a birth we can see, wide-eyed in the mastery of your scissors. You, the ancient midwife, should we hang on your stories, gather brush to start this fire, sit at the feet of your conjure woman, making glue from a melting pot? What did you do, Romare? Making whole people, born from bond and paper and sharp things like Southern recall, this movement, this train, speaking all on its own.
Ooh! That is so amazing. I love how it reads forwards and backwards. Like that is incredible. And like the imagery in that is so sharp. And like I love poetry that's about art. Like I love poetry that's about artists as well. And the way that that rolls, it has that movement in it. And then you add the fact that you go forward and then you go back, it just adds even more motion to the poem. Like it's just really awesome. Do you like, if you're doing a poem like that, do you find that like you have a favorite, whether you like it forwards or backwards or just all together?
I tend to like it backwards better. All the palindromes I've written, I think I tend to like it backwards better, because there should be either a different meaning or an added meaning when it goes backwards. So I think frontwards, everyone's listening to it the same and everyone's hearing the face value meaning of it. So yeah, I think I tend to like it backwards better.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say it. It felt to me like the second, like when you went backwards, it was more visceral for some reason. I mean, it's the same words, but like for some reason it was like it got really not aggressive. Aggressive isn't the word, but it got sharper, deeper, which is really interesting. And all you're doing is just rearranging the order of the words. Yeah, that's incredible. Great work, Jay.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, it was written a while back, and it's just the pain of the editing process is to try to get it as tight as possible. But I actually enjoy the revision process better than I like the writing process.
Yeah, I want to get to that point. That's why I've been trying to edit as much as possible. I'm coming up with like multiple versions of poems now. So my thing is, it's like it's always the line breaks that get me. It's like I get caught up in the visual aspect, and that's what gets me frustrated. I think because I can go in and I can take out fluff, and I can carve it and I can sharpen it. It's just um, yeah, it's the line breaks that get me. That's what get me all tangled up. All right.
I love line breaks.
Uh, Thank you, Jay, for sharing your amazing work.
Yep, yep. Thanks for having me on here. And
All right.
we get to hear something you've edited now, yes?
Yes. Um, okay. So I'm doing an edit per day from a book that I'm going to have coming out called Road Hunger. Divine Disturbances will be my next book release. And then after that, I'm probably going to release Road Hunger. And it's all about wanderlust. It's about flight, like when the body is in fight or flight. This is about the flight aspect of that. And it's also about Wendigo, which is like a constant craving, a constant hunger. So this is called Kindling. And I actually have an edit after this. I'm going to read both too. I'm going
Okay.
to share both because I edited it twice, and I want to show people like how it changes the feel if you take the personification out of it as well.
Okay.
So
Which one are you reading first?
I'm going to read the one that has all the I's in it and the me's in it and
Okay.
things like that. This house is filled with the war of me. I want to burn all of my artwork, every notebook filled with to-do lists, a pitiful parade of dates to keep me busy, from feeling like a faded memory. I want to accept the debt of myself. I want to burn my bed and lay down in flame. I want to empty out my bank account, leave tonight, drive till the transmission breaks down, have a showdown in the middle of the road with the things that keep me up at night in a town that doesn't know my name. I want to piss all the vinegar out my bitterness, drink every drop of rum the Leviathan can spew up from the devil's gut. I've accepted that I don't have to embody bravery. I just have to be brave enough. I want to find God in the hunger of the canyon, saddle up my fear and ride it all the way to Texas. I want to hold Arizona's night sky in my womb so I can claw inside myself to the blue of stars still burning beneath me. I want to turn away from it all, sharp as the spurs on my daddy's cowboy boots, and shine brighter than my mama's laughter. I want the ghosts to meet me halfway, in some rundown convenience store bathroom, hundreds of miles away from my excuses. I want to spit on my shadow in 102-degree heat to watch it sizzle. I want to double dog dare the aces. I want the West to claim the blood washing up in me, shed this peeling self, leave it all in ashes behind me. So that was that version.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I took like all the eyes out. So this house is filled with war. Burn all of the artwork, every notebook filled with dates to keep a faded memory. Let the pitiful parade of to-do lists eat itself. Fill the kitchen sink with gasoline. Pay the debt with debris. Set the bed on fire. It is useless for sleep. Leave tonight. Drive until the transmission cracks open. Leak. Hurl a match forward in the middle of the road. Watch it go up with no way to return. Chug the oil empty. Piss out the vinegar. Go find God and the canyon's hunger. Hold Arizona's night sky to the womb, claw at the flesh till the blue of stars spill burning. Let the West claim the blood and the guilt. Double dog dare the ghosts. Spit excuses onto the asphalt. Let them sizzle into smoke. In 100-degree heat, 100 miles away from that prison, that war, that place called home.
Oh, wow.
Right, different, right?
No, it's really different. I mean, all the imagery is really sharp in both. Get it? Sharp is the imagery. Um, which, by the way, Shane has a workshop, an online workshop coming up next week that she'll tell you about for the library that has to do with imagery. Yeah?
Yeah, so I'll be doing a workshop on the 15th about the senses. So I'm going to help you get like more descriptive with your poetry and go a little bit deeper through the senses. So we're going to go through all the basic 5 senses. So
Yeah. That poem was a really good example of that too. Like everything is so vivid and so sharp. And it did feel like it felt different because in the one we were kind of watching your journey, and in the second one, depending on how you read it, we're still watching your journey or we're following a directive. Like we're doing
right.
it. We're doing it while you're saying, "Go do this, sharpen this, take out this." Like we're doing it and being kind of led along that journey too.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about the second version is that it reads like a set of directions, and I think that that would help me play. Like the title right now is just kindling, but I think like if I expanded on that like set of directions, that could be the third edit, and it can actually turn into like I don't know, it can have a structure at that point, you know, because this was so freeform that it didn't have like a structured end goal other than explaining itself. A lot of times with poetry, like if you're venting or if you're letting it flow out of you, um, you know, when inspiration like is filling you up, you don't necessarily write at the top of the page like this is what the thing I'm trying to say. It just kind of comes out. But I think if I did that and I worked on that second version, then I would have like a structure in place. Like here's here's the instructions so that you can get this done. You know, like there's like an end thing instead of it explaining itself. You know,
Yeah.
so it's really cool. That's just a way to like show people like how the editing process can transform a poem and change the feeling. So I think it's really cool that we both did that to show like the different how it can feel different.
Yeah. So, so for everybody else that's watching, and you are writing 30 poems in 30 days, as opposed to editing 30 poems in 30 days, maybe we can give them 2 writing prompts, like a writing prompt based on the work that we just read.
Ooh, that would be cool. Yeah, so for mine, I guess like write a directional, like instructions. Like it could be instructions to build something, it could be directions to get to somewhere, but it has to be instructional. Like do this set of steps to get this. But I don't want it to be a recipe because we already have like so many poems that are already doing that, you know, like this is the recipe for my poetry. This is the recipe for who I am. Like they go broader. So instead of it being like a recipe, make it a list of instructions or orders, or you know like it's got to be building something or it's got to be taking you to from point A to point B. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sweet. So I guess that would be my prompt. Yeah.
Okay. In my head, I'm going back and forth between a palindrome prompt or an ekphrastic prompt.
Both.
Well, yeah. If I tell you the story behind how that original draft of that Romare Bearden poem was written, it's like 3 different things in one. Okay, so both. I'm not gonna do both. How about this? Name your favorite artist, and that can be visual artist or musician or poet or whatever. Name your favorite artist. Google image search them and write a poem based on the 5th image that shows up in Google Images.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Even if that image isn't of, you know, sometimes the search results are wrong. Even if that 5th image isn't your artist, whatever that picture is, write a poem about that picture.
You know what would be really cool? Like I'm not like chat if they're up for it, like they don't have to, but like if the 5th image has nothing to do with like the artist, figure out a way to tie it into your artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. All right, Jay, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you are on your lunch break. I'm going to let you get back to work. I am going to upload this video for our lovely viewers. Keep writing. You got this. If you need help, please reach out because we are here to support you. Hopefully, y'all are keeping up. If you're not, join the Starfish 3030 group. It was sent out in the first email of the National Poetry Month Summit. They are hella active in there, and I've been really pleased with the amount of support the people in that group are giving to other writers. So if you're looking for feedback, if you're looking for some love, you want to be seen and heard, definitely jump in that group.
Yeah. Happy National Poetry Month, everybody.
All right, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.